All right, FeleshaLove here with Attorney Griggs talking about the I-85 collapse here in Atlanta. Huge news, but just like I said, I was just out kicking it with Valerie Denise Jones here in Atlanta downtown and ran into Attorney Griggs. So of course I had to ask him what is going on behind the scenes. There's actually a gathering, a organization of efforts behind this whole thing. So Attorney Griggs, thank you first of all for coming in and talking to me, but please tell me what is going on.
Well, thank you for having me. Basically, if everybody knows the unfortunate incident that caused the collapse of the I-85 overpass, and there's been a young man who's been charged with arson and criminal damage to property, and 25 coalitions, including NAACP, Black Lives Matter, Rainbow Push, and a lot of organizations have come together to rally behind the legal team and rally behind Mr. Basil Ellaby and bring more light and transparency to this issue. So we're going to be meeting. His first court date is going to be Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, in the Fulton County Courthouse in Judge Glanville's courtroom. And we're asking the entire community to come out to help pack the courtroom to make sure that this is fair and transparent. We can't really go into the details of the case because he has his own legal team headed by Attorney Miley Davis, Attorney Tiffany Roberts, Attorney Gary Spencer, and Attorney Lawrence Zimmerman. But what we're asking is for the community to come out and support Mr. Ellaby. If you want more information about Mr. Ellaby, you can go to BasilEllaby.org, or you can come to the courtroom, pack the courtroom for justice, because we're asking for justice for Mr. Ellaby. We want to make sure that it's not, as Mr. Davis has said, it's not going to be a case where we have a railroading on steroids. We want to make sure that fairness and equity come in this case, and that Mr. Ellaby and all the 2,000 other individuals who each night sleep homelessness in this city get the proper justice, make sure they get the proper resources, and make sure their voices are heard. So make sure that you come on out Tuesday, 9 o'clock, Judge Glanville's courtroom, and make sure justice is done.
Wow. And so guys, this is your opportunity. I talk about wellness in the community all the time, and I talk about not sitting down and allowing fear to stop you from being proactive. Here is your chance to be proactive and make a difference with what's going on in the community, because we've got to get away from thinking that, oh, it's just happening to another family or it's just happening to another city. It happens to you as well, because it could be your daughter, your son, your husband, your wife. So become proactive. Let me ask you as well, you've got a shirt for Justice for Cain. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, at the NAACP, we're very engaged in the community, and Mr. Cain Rogers, back last July, was unfortunately gunned down by an off-duty Atlanta police officer, and we are pushing for justice for Cain. We were up all night for justice that ended in the indictment of the officer involved in this case, and hopefully that case will be coming to trial very soon. But we want to make sure we elevate all the voices, especially the unfortunate voices that have been quieted by police violence, and we have to have police accountability. And so we're always in the community, always uplifting the voices of those that can't. So again, Justice for Cain. He comes from a great family. His dad's awesome. What a strong family. We want to make sure that he gets justice. So again, we'll keep you updated on when that case goes to trial, so we can have justice for Cain and against the officer that killed him. But we also want you to remember, you know, this is not just another hashtag or another family. This is an American family. It's an Atlanta family. It's a Georgia family. We want to make sure that they feel comforted by us, and they are held up, and make sure we get justice for them.
That's an awesome point. You know, we are really good at hashtagging, but this is real lives, real people, guys. So the hashtags are great, but we also need to become just realize that this is real life happening. Speaking of which, I just saw in the news something about a gentleman who was stopped. It was a student, a college student, I believe, in Gwinnett County.
Yes.
And a police officer kicked him, punched him in the face, and this was just a regular traffic stop, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
It was.
But the cop was finally met some justice. Would you tell them about that? There was 2 cops. Yes, tell me about that.
And another one of my great friends, Justin Miller, represents that family and that young man. And we're glad to see that young man actually is okay. He survived that encounter with police. But ultimately, two Gwinnett County deputies stopped this motorist and was trying to question him, and it turned into violence where they punched him and they kicked him while he was down, while he was prone, and he was not being combative or anything. And it further underscores that cell phone camera footage can cause real justice here in Georgia. Both of those officers, when the footage was released, were fired and are now potentially facing criminal charges. So everyone that says, well, why are you guys marching? Why are you guys talking about Black Lives Matter? Are you making these hashtags? Are you releasing these videos? These videos are holding police officers accountable, and that's the way we can have accountability. You know, until these officers are held accountable, and again, we are not against all police officers. We are, you know, for the 90% that do their job. But the 10% that don't need to be brought to justice. They need to be taken into custody. They need to have a swift, speedy jury trial, and they need to be convicted and sentenced to prison, because we're tired of being terrorized in our own communities when we're simply just driving down the street. We're simply just minding our own business. So I'm happy to report that those two officers were fired. We fully expect that there will be some sort of criminal action taken against them. And guys, keep your cell phones on, keep your cell phones recording. Anytime you have an incident with police, just make sure in Georgia you have the right to record that incident and you have the right to report it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Attorney Griggs.
Thank you.
Huge information just on a Sunday, just kicking it. But of course, my cell phone is always on, so I'm always working. I'm FeleshaLove with the FeleshaLove Show. I will see you a little later on. Of course, give us, again, contact information.
You guys can contact me on all social media at Attorney Griggs. That's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope. And if you ever need me, just look for the Justice Fighter, hashtag Justice Fighter.
I love it. I love it. FeleshaLove, reporting live from downtown Atlanta. Buckhead. Talk to you soon. Bye.